Hello, I'm Chad Weimer, and this is my final project for experimental economics. For my experiment, I tested the difference in performance between two types of juggling balls. I have the MMX Plus juggling balls and the Saddlebred beanbag juggling balls. The beanbags are lighter, cheaper, and they have a fake leather coating that is a little bit slicker than the rubberized coating of the MMX Plus balls that are heavier and more expensive. To test performance, I timed how long I could keep each ball in the air and ran 10 tests with each set of balls. The null hypothesis for this experiment is that juggling times won't be different between types of balls. In other words, one ball won't outperform the other. Now, the alternative hypothesis is that either the Saddlebred or the MMX Plus will have longer juggling times than the other. My personal hypothesis is that the MMX Plus balls are going to outperform the Saddlebred balls. I've used both of these for quite a while, so I'm accustomed to both of them. And these are a lot heavier, they're stickier, they feel nicer in the hand. So I would be surprised if they don't outperform the Saddlebred in a statistically significant way. So to set up my experiment, I needed a stopwatch, an Excel file on my computer to collect all the data, a nice open, well-lit room to do my juggling. Then I also had to decide which pattern I wanted to do. At first, I thought I was going to go with a traditional 3-ball pattern, but it was taking too long, and I thought at the end of my trials, fatigue might disrupt the results, so I switched to a 2-ball pattern. But even this one was taking too long, so then I switched over to the front claw grip, 2-ball, one-handed pattern. This pattern was a lot more difficult, so I was dropping the ball a lot faster. I wasn't getting tired after each session. And then finally, I needed to account for nuisance variables. To do that, I made sure I ran all my tests on the same day, and between every 2 trials, I switched which type of ball I was using, so I wasn't getting too accustomed to one. So after I ran 10 trials with each ball, I collected the data. And I got a mean time with the Saddlebred beanbags of 17.4 seconds in the air with a variance of 57.16. The square root of the variance is the standard deviation at 7.56. With the MMX Plus ball, I got a mean time in the air of 21.3 seconds. However, my variance was 97.12 with a standard deviation of 9.86. This happened because with the MMX Plus balls, I had a few rounds of over 35 seconds, but I also had a few rounds where I dropped it in less than 10 seconds. So I had a lot wider spread with the MMX Plus balls. In contrast, the Saddlebred balls, I was way more consistent. I was between 15 and 20 seconds in almost all of the trials. To further analyze this data, I did a statistical analysis. I chose to run a 2-sample t-test to determine if the 2 means were different enough to be statistically significant. Before I ran the experiment, I chose an alpha of 0.05, and then I used these formulas to plug in the data, which gave me a t-value of negative 0.99. That led to a p-value of 0.33, which means there's about a 1 in 3 chance that I would get data this extreme under the assumption that the null hypothesis is still correct. And that's a high enough level to where we are going to accept HO and determine that these 2 balls are not statistically different performers. So even though the MMX Plus ball did stay in the air about 4 seconds longer on average than the Saddlebred beanbags, because of that wider variance, we can't conclude that the MMX Plus ball is truly a better performer. There's a lot more factors that are going to determine how well someone can juggle than just the type of ball. How long you've been practicing is going to far outweigh the type of ball you use. However, in the future, it would be cool to run more trials and see if the MMX Plus ball does prove that it is a better performer. But at any rate, neither one of these balls are going to ruin your juggling career.